Hello, welcome to Nintendo Nostalgia. I'm your host, Jacob Rush. I'm joined by my co-host, Ryan Black, and we are back, and we are playing with Power. Ryan, we took last week off. You were very busy with Gen Con activities, so we just took the weekend off, and, we were actually proud of us. We were very consistent throughout all of July. We got all of our episodes out on time. We even advertised them well. Guys, it's kind of hit or miss with how busy life can get sometimes, but we stuck to it all throughout July. And so we took a week off, and we're back. We are back. It is August now. As a kid, I kind of used to dread the month of August because that meant school was back in session and summer fun was over. But as an adult, I like it because I prefer the structure of school, and I prefer I just know that birthday season, even though it's busy, birthday seasons and holidays are coming up, fall time, winter times are my favorite, so that's just around the corner. Lots of things to look forward to, I think, this fall, especially when it comes to Nintendo related things. Traditionally, well, we can talk about that in Radical Rex, but how are you doing, first off, Ryan?
I'm pretty good. Just biding my time now that I'm past the exciting Gen Con time. Just biding my time until my hip surgeries. So.
Yep, fix them hips, man. Okay, well, let's not waste any time. Let's get into what we have been Radical Rexing about. Well, Ryan, I guess I'll go first this time. Leaping off of what I was talking about earlier was, we're getting closer to September, and September traditionally over the last 5 or so years, Nintendo has always done a Direct. And I'm curious, will we have a Direct, or will we bypass a Direct because Switch 2 news is on the horizon, or will we get a little bit of both? I don't know. This is kind of unknown territory. I don't know if you saw, Ryan, last week, the new numbers from Nintendo came out. They had another, shareholders meeting, and the Switch had only, for the first time, had a negative percentage in their numbers. They were down for how much they traditionally sell. So the Switch has finally, for the first time, showed its decline, which I'm not surprised. I still think maybe Christmas it'll get one more big push. We'll see, but I think Nintendo should totally do a price cut now. They've literally waited the entire lifespan. I think if they want to break some records, let's do a price cut. Holiday bundle, price cut, $50 off. Who knows? They will sell even more hotcakes to little kids who've been really wanting a Switch all this time and still don't have one. I think it could work, but no, Ryan, it's kind of unknown territory. I'm excited about the idea of what's going to happen next. And personally, I don't know about you, Ryan, but personally, I don't need a Nintendo Direct for the Switch. I want to know all about Switch 2. I'm personally hoping that it's a whole Switch 2 focused Direct. They show us what it looks like. They show it off. They talk about the specs. Not a tease. I hope that this is all dedicated to that. And I would love to see a sizzle reel of games that are in the works that we don't know yet. I don't know. I could see Nintendo just doing one of two things. They could do that. They could do a traditional Direct, and maybe they got a few more cards that they have not showed us for that. But I don't know the validity of how much they can actually put in that. If the Switch 2 truly is coming early next year, which we don't know, it could be the end of next year. I don't know. So I could see Nintendo just doing a small 15-minute Switch 2 devoted Direct where they show off the system, but they don't really go into detail about games or anything like that. And then they just kind of give us teases. Remember how when the Switch was teased off in October, they didn't talk about games. They just showed off the Switch. And then we saw Mario Odyssey at the time. We didn't know what it was. We just saw these snippets of games to come. And we're like, what is happening? And then they're like, we'll talk about it in I think it was January or something like that. I could see them doing something very similar where it's just a tease. Here's a taste. We're going to give you details coming in January. What do you think?
I kind of reversed my feelings on this. I think that Nintendo probably still wants to go for that number one best-selling console mark, and to release anything about the new Switch would kind of cannibalize that and kind of cut them short from what those goals, even with the stuff that they're releasing leading up to it. I think they're going to be radio silent for a bit and announce things next year. That's kind of how I'm feeling. But I'm hoping that Switch does, meet that number one selling console thing and beats the PlayStation 2. If it doesn't, that's fine. It'd be nice to see it at least beat the DS, which it's on track to do. But I think price drop, bundling for the holidays, plus a couple of games like Zelda Special Edition and maybe another Special Edition Switch here or there, is enough to bump it over the edge to at least beat out the DS, which is a respectable thing to do internal in the company, like be its number one seller. As much ground as it has covered so far, and we may see it go past the PS2 life cycle once it's there. But I think they need this time, like going into the holidays, to really boost the Switch as a whole, just before they start, digging into the second one. Or the successor, though I think that, they should be talking about that stuff. I'm just worried that anything that they release on that will have people hold off. It might cut things down from reaching those goals. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm expecting more of like a indie, or perhaps maybe like the third-party direct that they do. I don't know if there's much that people can really talk about because, they're developing for the new Switch. So who knows? It's hard to say. Maybe if they have some kind of campaign like, oh yeah, if you have this game on Switch, you can upgrade. So like it doesn't hurt to stay with the regular Switch and get games now, because when you upgrade, it'll be painless or whatever, and you can go ahead and buy the Switch for the holiday season. I don't know. But I feel like things are pushed back a little bit more because of how close they are, and things did slow down quite a bit as far as sales go. Not that they have any like huge blockbusters. I mean, Denpaman isn't selling any consoles, being that it's free and very under polished, if I do say so myself. But that's kind of what I feel. What else you write a question about, man?
Well, I mean, before I move on, I definitely like this discussion because this is always exciting stuff, just the what ifs and what to expect. But I mean, I certainly could see them not doing anything. I see what you're saying, and for the record, I do, as a Nintendo fanboy my entire life. It bugs me that Nintendo doesn't have the record for like what any of their consoles as being like the number one bestseller. It bugs me that title belongs to a PlayStation. Mm-hmm. So I would love to see Nintendo overtake, because I mean they hold records pretty much everywhere else, right? Yeah. So, but I would love for them to break that record. Absolutely. So
price cut won't hurt them. I could definitely see them doing that. Like it won't hurt them at all. Like
I think that's what you do. Honestly, I think you price cut it. You price cut every system, and the OLED goes down 50, the main model goes down 50, and the handheld goes down 50. What that would bring that down to $150, right? That would be super enticing to parents with the Mario Kart bundle or something like that. I think it would just look awesome, or a Zelda bundle. I think a price cut would get them over the hump personally. And I see what you're saying real quick about, if there's a Switch 2 announcement, it's going to stop people from wanting to buy it.
Do you think a price drop is enough if they do announce Switch 2, like to get people to buy it? And then also, would this be the time to bring out Nintendo Selects for software to encourage people to like go in on Switch because things are cheaper, even game-wise?
Yeah, I could see that. You get a select game with it as well, Mario Odyssey.
It makes it hard with the Selects nowadays because it's like they've got their vouchers that are the discount, and if they do Selects, then how are they going to do digital? Like, are they just going to cheapen the value of their digital games, which I don't see them doing? Like, okay, if you buy it physical, like you get cheaper. Like everything seems to be migrating more towards digital. So like, how do you even do the Selects? Are Selects even a thing nowadays? But if they would that help?
They have been having deals online. Remember, we've been seeing like games being roosted down like $35 or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So who knows? I don't know what the answer is. It does just leave this fall season a little bit of a mystery. I don't think Nintendo can go silent, Ryan. I don't. With the numbers starting to decline, the interest in the overall population of people who play video games is it's drying up, and people want to see. We've been waiting. We want to see what's next. So I really think Nintendo has to talk about Switch 2 before the end of the year. I mean, Nintendo does what Nintendo wants, but I just can't. That's my mind of thinking. I think we're definitely going to hear something about it. I don't know for sure, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean,
Yeah.
I would. I really am hoping that the Switch 2 is coming out in that March frame. I think we've all mentally prepared ourselves for like, oh, they're going to repeat the March thing. But that's exactly what Nintendo does is we all think one thing and then they're doing something different. And they'll probably drop it in like July. Who knows? I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see. Anything else? Well, man, I just went back to work for the first time, really like full go for 5.5 months. Kids started school. All the three bigger ones are going to school on the school bus now, and they get off together. It's going. This week it was insane. I mean, I started work a week ago from Friday, and then it's been teacher work stuff, and then the students came back for me on Thursday. So I like how we have it set up. We started school on Thursday, kind of get your feet wet. Friday, a little more wet, and then we get a weekend. And then Monday, we get a full week of like, all right, let's fully dive in and start really getting into content. I think it's a good way to ease into school. Got a new room. I moved downstairs with windows, and it's all set up now, so that's nice. And I just love that the kids are all back in school and they're in bigger grades and they're traveling together, makes life easier. The only big thing is just, Violet has to be juggled around between like 5 different people for daycare right now because we can't afford daycare. So you got a grandparent here, you got another grandparent there, you got at her work, and I got to book it out of work and meet my wife at her job and take the baby like 20 minutes into her shift, and it's just crazy. So we've got a lot going on, but it's been good though overall. I would say that even though it's been busy, it's been good, and I like the busyness. Hope we don't get jaded, but now we can start getting back into a good flow. I like structure and routine, Ryan. That's my thing. I don't like. Occasionally, it's fine to fly by the seam of your pants, but I really don't like. I'm somebody that like. If I don't have plans for a Saturday and somebody's like, hey, let's go down to the mall and let's go to an arcade and let's go to a water park, that doesn't make me I don't like to do that because I have to want to have mentally planned for that. For me to be like, okay, yeah, let's do it. I can do it and I have done it many times. I'm just saying that I'm somebody that's like, okay, I want to plan. Like, if I don't have anything planned for today, Ryan, and you called me up and you're like, hey, you want to hang out? I would have a hard time initially saying yes because I mentally since I had nothing planned, I would have already mentally planned to, well, I'm just going to be home. I'm going to clean up the house. I'm going to, work on this, work on that, maybe play some games. So it would be hard for me to want to switch gears because I didn't plan for that. That's one of my flaws I mean, it's good and it can be a flaw because some people like to go on just random crazy adventures, and I'm like, ugh, doesn't excite me to do that. It raises anxiety. But what about you? Anything else?
Yeah. I guess I've been playing some more Final Fantasy VI. It's been pretty fun. I think I like it. From what I've experienced so far, I got past the opera scene, and I don't have any complaints about the whole thing. It's definitely like I tried playing Denpa Man. It's a mess developer wise, and so like I don't feel any drive to want to like dedicate time to that because it's just so like it's poorly translated, and then also it's very like microtransaction-y, and like it's nothing like the first game. Like even though it had those things, like it was poorly translated and all of that stuff. Like very English stuff and everything. But the company that did it just really kind of undercut it even more. It's a bit sad to experience, like, to know that it's like not how I expected it to be. It didn't live up to its legacy. But then again, 2 and 3 kind of got a little bit more microtransaction-y, so I didn't feel like super bad about that. It's just overall, I was disappointed with that. But when I picked up Final Fantasy VI, like, I keep going back to it, and so I like that I have that, like, poor experience to boost my feelings about this other experience. With this classic that everybody seems to love so much with Final Fantasy VI. So it's been a bonus for that for sure. But I don't know. There's too much more like crazy going on other than Gen Con was pretty cool. I got to demo a game called Compile. I highly recommend the game. It's kind of a 1v1 lane control game that's got a lot of like chain or like this happens and this happens and this happens, and it resolves in the order that those things happen, in order of effect, like first in, last out. And it's very kind of it feeds that Yu-Gi-Oh itch for me, like with whereas like Yu-Gi-Oh, like you can get locked out and you can't play anything and it's just like not fun. But this game, it's well balanced, so you're always like doing something, and like you don't feel like you're being completely dominated by your opponent. And it's really nice. There's always a back and forth. You never know who's going to come out on top, and it feeds that part of me that's like, I don't care if I win or lose, just as long as the interactions are like intense, and like we feel like we're truly dueling, and it's back and forth, blow to blows, like Dragon Ball Z. They're beating each other down and trying to like one up each other and stuff, and it comes down to the last minute, someone pulls out the right move or whatever, and it's just like that. It kind of invokes that feeling, and I really like that about Compile. I did buy a copy for Kyle Martin. He was actually at the con with the booth with his Smashcraft and his wands and his chalices and stuff. It did pretty good. I got to visit him each day and check on how his sales were going and everything. And but I did go ahead and buy that. I'm like, hey, awesome that you got to get into Gen Con and with a booth. And here's a game that I really enjoy. So I hope you were able to meet up with either Kyle or myself to play Compile. It's a lot of fun, and you don't have to buy like a bunch of like packs and stuff. It's all in one box. It's only $20, and yeah, if you want to get the expansion or the mini expansion, it's like $5, and you get $25 to get the whole thing, and you can play two simultaneous games of 1v1. So right out of the box, so it's really affordable and really really fun on strategy and interactions. So definitely rad correction about that game. For sure. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that was like really cool. Fortnite last night dropped. They accidentally dropped Marvel content they shouldn't have, and they re-rolled it back, or they rolled it back. So they had Jubilee as one of the options, and Cyclops and Colossus in the shop, but then they rolled it back and took it out because they weren't supposed to release it yet till today because they're doing a big D23. I guess the new season of. It's rumored that the new season of Fortnite is all Marvel based. And so it'd be kind of cool to see what they do with that. But they did drop Android 17, 18, and Trunks, and I had to get Trunks. Like, Trunks is my favorite Dragon Ball Z character. Like, I had to get Trunks. So I did spend a little bit on that to get the Trunks skin with the sword and everything. And yeah, it was, and like he has an emote where he powers up and then goes Super Saiyan, and it's super cool. I'm like, I have to get this. So. But it'll be kind of cool to see what's happening tonight with D23 announcements and what we're getting in Fortnite for the Disney side of things with Marvel. And I'm really excited about all that. I know that Disney bought a huge stake in Fortnite to build their own world. And apparently tonight, if you log on for at least like 10 minutes, you can unlock a Peely banana Wolverine costume plush for your back bling. And I thought that was kind of cool. So I want to pick up that one since it's free. But yeah, there's some exciting things coming to Fortnite. As far as games coming out, like I'm a little excited for Zelda, but like not super gung-ho about it. And I don't think I really have too much else coming out. I'm still waiting on a couple of games to come in. I got Balatro physical. I'm waiting for that to send to me. And there's a couple other games that I have, I think, pre-ordered. I did go ahead and back that Studio Ghibli hotel management cozy game that was on Kickstarter. And then I have like a couple other things that I've backed on Kickstarter that I'm looking forward to, like Nemo and things. Of course, there's always the Hatch Tales eventually is going to come out. So I've got those games. I'm just waiting for them to come around, but not a lot on Switch that I'm looking forward to playing. And I'm just enjoying that, sitting in that RPG pocket, and really enjoying what I've been playing of all the different RPGs. Sea of Stars kicking off my 2D RPG journey, and I've experienced a few. I still haven't jumped into Chrono Trigger yet, but I'm definitely looking forward to that once I can get a hold of a good version of Chrono Trigger. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting as far as what Radical Rexing about.
Cool, man. Well, I guess with all that said, man, we should just get into what we are here for. This week, we have finally, it's been some time. We wanted to wait a little bit. Ryan and I, obviously, we got, there was a wonderful remake that came out this year in the start of summer, and that was Paper Mario the Thousand-Year Door. And this is a game that we've really held off on talking about in general. Ryan and I both revisited it for the first time since I think the original release, at least for me. And then we played through it entirely and wanted to talk about it. So we gave it some time to get through the summer and let others play it. And now we're going to talk about our experience with it, our initial thoughts compared to the original game, and just break it down. So if you haven't played the game yet, there probably will be spoiler talk, just a fair warning. If you don't care, go ahead and listen. If you've already played it with us, go ahead and listen. Or if you're curious about the remake and if you should get it or not and want to know, go ahead and listen. But with that said, this is all about Paper Mario, the Thousand-Year Door. Okay, Ryan, so initially, Paper Mario the Thousand-Year Door came out on the Nintendo GameCube. So we are Americans here, right? So our version was, back in the day, kids, the games were not released worldwide at the same time. Most of our games do come out like worldwide release for everybody. Back then, though, it wasn't the case. This game actually originally came out in Japan first, in July 22nd of 2004. But for us, it came out October 11th, 2004. I remember, Ryan, seeing this game on your E3 disc collection, it being shown off at the May E3 events. Was one of the games I was so excited about because I had played the crap out of the first Paper Mario. I remember originally seeing that game at Traven's house and had to have it. Got it from my 64. Played it. I did actually, the original one I never beat. I got to Bowser, and at the time I was just a kid, so I didn't realize maybe I just need to go grind a little bit, get stronger, because I just couldn't overcome him. And I stopped. I have, yes, as a grown man, gone back and replayed the original and beaten it now. But back then I didn't. But I loved everything about that game. It was so fun. So I was very excited to see a cleaner up, more polished, more cardboardy, paperish looking game. And just the things that they did in this game, they really did take it to the next level. This was a great... The first one was amazing. This really, I think, added so much more charm and so much more. They really lent into the fact that you are a paper character. They gave us curses that actually were supposed to be a curse, but it helps you out and gives you an ability to utilize yourself as being paper by folding yourself into a paper airplane, rolling yourself up to getting underneath things, turning sideways so you can slide in like a piece of paper would. It was cool, making yourself a boat. They didn't do that in the original game. So I liked the things that they were doing. I liked the personality, and the game just felt so much more bigger than the original one as well, too. But it came out October 11th, 2004, and I had decided this is going to be my birthday game. If you remember, I was in 7th grade that year. That was one of the best birthday parties I think I ever had. Ironically, I was like one of the worst years of my life because my grandfather just died. I was going through a lot right before school started. I was in 7th grade, middle school, going through puberty. It was a hard year, actually, for me personally. But that birthday was great. That birthday, I got Paper Mario 1000 Year Door. I got Sum 41's new album, Chuck, came out in October. And I got my first guitar. It was crappy, but it was a first act guitar. I got my first guitar ever, and I didn't know how to play it, but it was a start, right? It was a start for me in my own music journey and slowly learning how to play a guitar. That by the time I got better, I invested in a better guitar. But that was, and it came with like a little amp too. First act, man. Don't ever buy them. They are awful. But it was what I got. It was a Walmart branded, I think, amp and guitar. My mom bought it for me, and man, that birthday rocked. You were there. I remember specifically putting on my Sum 41 album and my CD player. And this album was different than their past. Their past had been very punk. And this was the first time they actually like went heavy. And it was just like heavy and loud, and they're like yelling and the mic. And I just remember you like hearing it through my headphones and giving me this like weird look because I don't know, you didn't like listen to heavy stuff at the time. But we were like sitting on my bedroom floor, and you were like, "What is he listening to?" It was like the face that you gave me. But yeah, that's my original memories with this game from E3 to getting it on my birthday, and I played a crap ton out of it. You got me an awesome giant cardboard. It was like their puppets hanging by strings, cardboard thing that I was a fool and got rid of when I was in high school because I thought I was too cool for games. But at the time, it sat in my room. It was huge. It was awesome. And I desperately wish if I had it, that would be in my classroom right now. I got a lot of Nintendo stuff in my classroom. So what are your initial memories? Did you get this game back in the day? What? Tell me about it. I can't remember.
Yeah, this was kind of your game. I didn't play Paper Mario, and so like the Paper Mario series is like your big thing. Like you were obsessed with Paper Mario. You wanted to see Paper Mario and Smash Brothers. Like Paper Mario was your jam.
He would be a good inclusion still. He'd be unique.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, I remember I mostly lived Paper Mario through you. I remember like, I don't know, you were talking about that, how there's an actual dragon in the game. Like you were saying it was like Final Fantasy, you know, like if Mario has a dragon and it's crazy, you know, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then you said the name, like you pronounced it, Hooktail, and you kept calling it Hooktail, like the dragon, and I was like, that sounds like the stupidest name I've ever heard. Like what the heck? Like, I don't know. It just sounded so dumb to me. Later, come to find out, it's Hooktail, and I'm like, okay, that sounds really cool to me. Like, if you would have pitched that to me, like, I might have even gotten the game. But you gave it this like silly name. It sounded so funny to me. Like, what is Nintendo doing? Like, naming it that weird name. Like, I didn't see the spelling of it or anything. So. But you know, it was awesome. Like, you know, you were telling me like, man, the dragon just ate the whole like crowd or whatever. I think we were on the phone even, like,
yeah, that was cool.
Like classic, you know, on landline phone together, like talking while you were playing. And
it's a bit morbid, a little bit for a Mario game. Honestly, it was a bit morbid.
And then like, you know, being really excited about beating the dragon, and it was really cool to hear you like experience that. And you know, I'd never really picked it up, and I've always been meaning to get around to it. In recent years, a friend of the show, Cody Christian, sent me a copy of the game that he picked up really, really affordably, and the game was it was the actual box, not like a generic box. But the game had some top damage on the graphic art, which made the game unplayable, unfortunately. So I'm still sitting on that one. I need to get it back to him. But then you let me borrow your copy, and then like I hadn't gotten around to playing it. I was actually really afraid to put it in my my Wii because my Wii was having some difficulty sometimes spitting out discs. So like I was putting it off, and then you know, they made the announcement that the game was coming to Switch, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna wait for that, and you know, I can give you a copy back Jacob.
Yeah.
But I was afraid of losing your copy in my Wii system, so I didn't want to. I was balking at that. Plus, I pretty much game on the go all the time. So, but that's kind of my experience with the Thousand Year Door. And I know that you were like super hyped about it. This was totally your game, and now having played it, like it's totally my game too. Like it would have been one of my favorite, like all time. Definitely would have been probably my favorite. Paper Mario. Even probably over Super Paper Mario. But because I played Paper Mario first, I probably have a little bit more nostalgia for that, and it has the nostalgia edge for favorite Paper Mario. But still,
it is a fun
really
game.
Good game.
It is a really good, in its own right. It is a really good game, but it just changed the formula so much that people really bothered people. And I'm not saying, I think there's a place for both of those. I don't know. Maybe turn that style into like a Luigi adventure, and you get your Paper Luigi adventures in there in that vein. Super Paper Mario, Super Paper Luigi. But okay, so you don't have a ton of nostalgia for the OG, but you did get the remake, and you've beaten the whole game. You've played through it now. You're a different place, different person, different mindset now as an adult. The way you play games, and this game is definitely a great game to float between handheld and the TV too. In my opinion, I did that quite frequently. And that's the beauty of the Switch, right? There's some games where it's just like, I really just want to play this. I want to see it on the big screen. But it's when this is a game that like I've played before, and I'm revisiting it. Once I've like had that experience with the TV, I'm totally fine with going back and forth, and I like putting it right in front of the screen, right in front of my face, and seeing the colors up close. And what did you? Let's dive into the remake. What did you think about it? What does this game live up to the hype, the legend of what everyone says? Like, this is pinnacle Paper Mario. If you're going to play one, this is the one you should play. Especially coming off the backs of Mario RPG getting remade at Christmas time and coming out. And I can tell you, like, my thoughts they've changed a little bit. Shockingly, they have. So, but I want to hear from you first. What do you think of the remake now that you've played the game? What was it like, from the enemies to the level design? Maybe your favorite part of the game, if you have a favorite part. Maybe stuff you didn't like. Talk to us, Ryan. Tell us.
Yeah. So they did a pretty good job of like streamlining everything and making things. I guess more. I don't know. I don't want to say accessible, but like they made the game a lot more. I guess modern in some ways. From what I've been reading, they added like a special finisher move option, which I don't think was in the original. Like, is that right? Did they have the option to use like special finisher moves, or were those not in the game originally? Am I thinking of RPG that they added that stuff to?
Yes.
Okay, so they did have that original stuff. So when I played through the game, it felt a complete package. It felt like a really solid RPG. I liked some of the elements. Like, you didn't really feel the need necessarily to grind, though you could grind if you wanted to. Like, there was these golden flower things, which give you a lot of XP, which actually the first time I came across them, I actually beat it. I just like threw all my items in because like, oh, this thing's like golden and shiny. I know it's important if I defeat it. So, went after that flower to get all those XP to get that level boost. But I never really felt like I needed to grind or anything, and I was just kind of hooked by the story. And I think a lot of the story beats and everything were great. There was a lot of back and forth, like probably, I don't know, fetch quests, if you will. There's a lot of like backtracking, like especially when you had to go find the bomb that you needed to find at different places. Like, you kept traveling the world, so you end up visiting all of the areas.
That was annoying.
And mechanically, like, okay, they're having you go back to those areas and collect things and explore more. Okay, cool, with the new powers you have. Okay, I get that. But I had already done that and didn't realize that was going to be a part of the story. So I kind of wasted my time with that. But there's several times where they'd have you backtrack or do something different. and I felt like the train level was a bit drawn out. The murder mystery, the Orient Express type feeling. It was really fun. Like, I enjoyed it, and I didn't feel like it was a huge like payoff at the end overall. But I did like it was charming for what it was, and despite all of that, like to delay the gameplay of it, I think even with all of that, it was a really, really like cohesive package. It had a lot of charming characters. You still got some interactions with characters, and you kind of had a connection with some of them. For a Mario game, that's impressive in of itself. I think my favorite area was probably the Coliseum area, or like the fighting area in the clouds, and with from all the way from Rock Hawk to is it Prince Mush? Yeah.
Yeah.
And all in between. Like, I always enjoyed that area, and I played through. You can play through the Coliseum twice, and then like there's a secret bonus thing you can do at the end where you can fight, Prince Mush, and it was a fun time. And then the 100 level boss or the enemy challenge was pretty fun. It's a good place to level up if you're
definitely.
Especially like I got lucky a few times that I went through, and I came up with like 2 or 3 different of the golden flowers, and where it's able to take those out and get huge level boosts. So I definitely it helped with getting HP and everything back up again. As I went down that. So.
Sometimes with those fights too, like it's really weird because it's like you can lose a fight in a nail biter fight, and it's just all about. What I don't like is that sometimes it's just all about chance. It's just like because then I lost some close fights, then I came back and would redo it, and then just the order of the moves that were used, or I guess that comes into skill. Like there was one time I lost a nail biter of a fight, and it was so annoying because it was a big boss with lots of HP. And if I would have tapped the A button right, I would have drawn enough damage, but I screwed up the jump. But then the next time I came back around, then I beat him handedly, so sorry to interrupt, but go ahead. What'd you think of the story?
Story was good.
Of the game.
I like the Peach love thing with the computer, and I didn't quite get the whole Bowser thing. It felt like kind of a time waster. And had I not played Bowser rampaging through World 1-1 or anything like that before, like in other games, like I think it would have been a lot more impressive for me, realizing that Bowser's running through 1-1 or the first water level. I think it's
I liked that. I remember back in the day initially when I saw that, again, that added to the magic, like, oh my gosh, like this is so cool, because like that was tapping in to the nostalgia of the original Mario. At this point, I don't know, it's kind of weird. Like at this point, I feel like the original throwback to the OG Mario, like it's just worn its welcome for me. Like I'm beyond the point of nostalgic for that. Like, yes, it's cool, but it's more of like, look at the history. It's like a history book page to me. Like, this was the first Mario games. That's how I feel about a lot of the NES era games this day. I don't have an itch to go play them. It's more of like, this is what started it all, kids. It's on the front page of the Nintendo history book. But like my nostalgia of like, man, I want to replay these games. That's really 64 and GameCube, I think, reserved for me right now. And yes, even the Super Nintendo still. I would love to see some remakes of those games. But anyways, but at that time for the original one, that was really cool. That was like, wow, this is awesome. And I was mind blown. Okay, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this might have been like the first time, you like got to move around as Bowser like that. I don't remember a time. I'm sure I could. I'm probably most likely wrong, but like, it was cool to me that I get to be Bowser. It's that Mario, spoilers, it's that Mario Odyssey thing where I get to control and move around as Bowser. I thought that was so cool, and then that it was reenacting like the OG games. I thought that was great. Initially, what did you think of that? Did you like that?
Well, you threw me there a little bit for the Mario Odyssey moving around as Bowser. I don't remember that for some reason. But
Did you not beat the game?
I did. I just
You remember the final sequence of the game, right?
I didn't do any of the after stuff with the Dark
It's
Side of
not
the Moon.
after stuff. It's part of the
but
story.
I probably just it got overhyped, and I probably played it and was like, oh, well, I already knew about
You
this.
throw
and then I
your
forgot about
this
it.
is what the mind-blowing part was. You beat Bowser, and then the whole place is collapsing. You throw your hat on him, and then you go into Bowser and control Bowser to get out.
Okay.
You have to go through all of it, and then it's obvious, and it's like playing like it turned to like Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, because it turns into like an electric guitar, and it's just like it's like rocking music getting out of there. Something Mario's never done before.
So I want to say like I vaguely remember that. I don't know. I was in a weird mood when I played that game and finished it out, but
You oddly don't like that game.
I can't tell you why. No, I mean I've played it. I'm like, okay, I played it some more later. I'm like, okay, this is all right. It's fun. But I don't know why the charm was just not there for me. I was not wowed. Like I was just not in the right place. But anyway, back to the Paper Mario. So I didn't really because I'd played it after having played that gimmick before with Bowser and things like that. Like I didn't really appreciate as it being like the first time controlling Bowser or anything like that. Like I think you could. I want to say that could you beat Bowser in? Was Bowser a part of your team in Super Paper Mario? Not Paper Mario. Mario RPG.
Yes.
Okay, so you kind of had that, but it wasn't like you weren't like playing as Bowser running through like platforming or anything like that. So I think that was the first instance of that.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. You did get to play him in that game, but not like moving around.
Mm-hmm.
And he was I loved his humor. I liked the dialogue in the game. I thought he was he's just super goofy. Just like in the RPG, they did a good job at capturing that goofiness spirit, like Bowser.
Mm-hmm.
He's like always behind, and it's fun that he's still there, because like, you know, a Mario game just doesn't feel Mario if Bowser's not around, but he wasn't the main villain, and he's just like trying to come in there and like mess around, and I'm the biggest and baddest guy around, and he's like in a way like challenging like the other bad guys to like hold his ground. I just loved all the Bowser dialogue. That was great.
There's some weird backtracking they did, like they kept returning to different places, and like, but Bowser's already been here, so like, why are they back here? And like,
right?
I don't know. There was some strange decisions there, and it was
agree.
It was a long stretch just for a little plot point, you know, at the end. But
yeah, it would have been better if he like actually like really. I mean, I guess he did catch up to him at the very end, but like. I think I know what you're saying, because I thought the same things while I was playing it. Like this doesn't, like, why is he just now getting here? You know, like I know what you're saying.
It was strange. Like he caught up to Mario and then fought Mario, but then like
then he disappears.
Like, I don't know. It was some weird like.
You're talking about chapter 3, right? The of Glitz and Glory.
Yeah.
He shows up to fight you in a ring, and then he's like, you beat his butt, and he's like, I'm out. And then it's like he's like back to looking for Mario on the main storyline. That didn't make any sense.
Yeah, it was very strange. I wonder if there was like a plot point or something I missed. Like it could have been like, I don't know. It would have made sense if it would have been like even that the poltergeist ghost that could turn into different characters. Like it would make sense if that was like
him. Yeah.
Yeah. And shout out to that part. It was confusing, but I think it was well done still overall, where you were like the Shadow Mario and the real Mario was actually not the real Mario, and
that was a cool twist.
That was a cool part of it, because it seemed like a really short.
You had to fight your own party members. Like that was who are your friends at this point that you've built relationships with. That was cool.
Yeah, and it felt weird. Like I was like, okay, I just beat this boss. Like, is that it? Like, is that all for this chapter? Like, it felt really short. I'm like, man, this is crazy. And then I'm like, oh wait, something different's happening. And you know, and how they got the character to turncoat and join you with Vivian was really cool. Just it was really well done, and that, you know, Vivian didn't know that was Mario, but then like you become Mario, and then like she disappears for a while, but then she's like, no, I'm gonna actually help out because like you were really kind to me, and like that was really cool interaction. Definitely my favorite of the partners was Vivian. I just like The abilities, I started to like Yoshi a little bit more. I only got the green Yoshi, so it wasn't too crazy.
Really?
I don't even know how you get a different one, but
I just think it's random. It's just like a random draw.
yeah.
I got orange.
Okay, that was your first time, or
No, this time. I don't remember what I had back in the day.
okay, it'd be kind of cool if you got the black one, but that's kind of the one that people try to get. It's like the hardest to get or something. But
That'd be
yeah,
perfect for you.
I like. I didn't really hardly use Yoshi too much, but later in the game I started using him a bit more. And
It was cool. You could individually you collected. This really drew a lot of inspiration. You saw spillover as the GameCube era, so you had like a lot of Mario Sunshine references, and you could collect sun sprites, and then you could turn those in and get like power ups for your characters, your partners and stuff. And I thought that was cool. You could get them. I think you could power them up each twice.
Yep.
And they get like a stronger and stronger ability. Who was your least favorite partner?
Least favorite? Gosh. It was either the Bomb Bomb or Goombella. Like, those two are my least favorite. Like, the ones I use the least.
You use those the least?
Mm-hmm.
Mine would have been our fat ghost girl. I can't think of her name.
Oh, I used her a ton.
I didn't like her.
She was a tank. Yeah, I didn't like personality-wise. Like, she was weird, but like, as a character, though, she was really useful.
I didn't really use her that much. I think my mains were definitely you use Koops a lot in the beginning, but
yeah.
I mean, I used Yoshi a ton. I did. I used Yoshi a lot, and I used the bomb guy a ton.
Okay.
I'd say those were my top two, and then Koops was third.
Yeah, I used Koops quite a bit. I hardly ever touched Goombella. Yeah.
I did the tattle a lot in the beginning until I got a badge that removed that thing. So, because tattle, you can see the enemy's like health meter and you learn about them and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't lean too much into that one. For some reason. So,
what about what was your approach to the game? You could in the past. I'm somebody who likes to be OP, like to bulldoze my character, so I'd always invest in a lot of health because I always feel like I got to have a lot of HP, and then I would focus on, the SP, and then badges were my least in the original when I played it. I do know that. That's how I operated back then. That's how I tend to operate naturally. But this time I was like, I'm going to take a different approach. I want to shake this up. And I saw myself not really struggling with like losing a lot. And I wasn't like, if I did get low in health, I felt like, okay, just like, one mushroom does a good job of keeping me in the game, and then I'm fine. So I really invested in badges. I even went back and you can find that sorcerer person, and you can like change if you've chosen heart, badge, or health, and add it to something else. Mm-hmm. I even reduced some stuff, I think, from my health, and I put it over to badges because the more if you really utilize those badges, you can get a ton of use out of them and really make Mario this awesome, powerful character with lower health. And
yeah,
I honestly feel like health was third on my list of most important to power up. Obviously, I did a little bit over. You do need to at points, but you got amazing badges. You use them right, you can become an OP character.
Yeah. When I played, I think I got one health boost the whole time, and I had maybe 35 or 40 FP. So I went all badges pretty much. And then later I used the magician or whatever to, strip down my health all the way to 5 HP or something like that. Maybe it was 10 HP. And, I took down a couple more of my, I kept my FP mostly the same, but just gave it all to my my badges and went for I guess what they call a danger Mario build, which
Uh-huh.
I just saw that was an option, so I played that way. Or like I wasn't getting hit really by enemy attacks because I had my HP low enough, and I was doing extra damage because my HP was low enough, and I just did it that way to where I was doing like 50 or more damage every attack. So
Yeah, yeah,
I didn't
absolutely.
have any struggle after that. But I played up to the final boss and then started doing some Danger Mario things
Yeah,
just to see what that would go like. Because I noticed I was having run into a little bit of trouble fighting the final boss, and so I wanted to go back and explore and kind of power up and stuff. And I kind of went overboard with that, but
for
wanted to
sure.
collect whatever I could. And then there's after story stuff with secret bosses and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I went and covered that stuff. But I guess we could talk a little bit about like how the final like ending went, or how, like what you thought like overall. Because you played many Mario game and you've played some Final Fantasy games now,
Yeah.
and what do you think? Like originally when you played the game, did you beat the game or
Yes,
was
I
it
did
something that
beat
came
the
back later?
game.
Okay, okay. So what was your like impression? First time beating it, and then maybe what was your impression second time beating it like, with the remake and what have you?
I the first time I don't as being a teenager, I was 14 at the time. I don't think it like I don't think it phased. I think it phased me more as an adult than it did then. Like who this character was and what the character did. Back then, it was more of a funner. I think it was more of a fun or thrilling ride for the place I was in. Today, I look back and I think of Nintendo and I as a whole and what I've seen and experienced. What I love about Nintendo more. I know what I love most about Nintendo more, and I feel like this game. We mentioned it when we talked about Hooktail. Like it does some dark stuff, like stuff that like you don't usually play a Mario game and see. Obviously there's always creepy stuff like a Boo House and like that whole track in Mario 64 Haunted Mansion level. Like it's always depressing and scary. But for Mario, you don't normally get that dark, and I just thought some of the actions taken by the characters was like, whoa, what the heck? Like, again, a bit more. It makes me, when I feel my stress or anxiety, it's always on my stomach. I feel it in my stomach. And it happens. I can think of three occasions I got the feeling. One was when Hooktail, you don't expect it, but because you always have a crowd. It's like you're on a stage when you're fighting. She jumps into the crowd after you think you've like beaten her, and then she like literally eats characters and chomps them up. It's like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. Why would then they show that? And then obviously it's not gore. There's a little paper character, but still it's morbid. Um, and then the second time it happens with the final, boss. And it's the first time she does it. The main bad guy throughout the whole game, is it Grotus? Is that his name? Grotus, the ex
Brodus, yeah.
leader. Um, he's like bossing her around, which I mean, like you're an idiot. What do you? She's like, wait, why do you think you can boss her around? But um, he's talking, and then she like zaps him with an electric bolt, and he just like she literally obliterates his body, and his head goes flying and rolling. I was like, obviously after the game, he's actually still alive. The head is alive, so he's not dead. But like at the time back then, I think that shocked me too because I've never liked seeing people or anything beheaded. That really bothers me. Um, but when I saw it again, I forgot that happened, and it definitely was like I was like, oh my gosh, like that's terrible. I know this guy he's a jerk and a terrible character, but like I still don't like to see him die like that. So that was shocking and morbid. And then just like Hooktail and during the fight, she does the same thing. There's a whole crowd, and once you've got her on the rope, she doesn't just kill a little bit. She literally sucks the souls out of every member watching the fight.
Hmm.
It's like we go to a movie theater and they turn to the screen and just sucks everybody's souls out of the movie theater and replenishes. And that, again, I'm just like, literally, like they just killed a bunch of innocent characters just watching this fight, um, spectating it. And
Hmm.
I think that's dark. I really do. But the fight is tough, and it kind of gets you on the ropes, and you're just thinking like, am I doing something wrong? Like, why can't like I feel like I'm like going to lose this fight? What did I do wrong? And it's confusing because there's moments where that happens multiple times, and if you die, yeah, you've like have to restart the fight over. That happened to me the first time I fought her, when I was playing it on this remake, and then the second time I finally figured it out. But yeah, you kind of question it: is this right or is this wrong? I will say, during that fight, we talked about partners. I enjoyed the Yoshi and the Bomb Mob the most. I have to, but I think I need to put Koops back to fourth, and Vivian was my third. Vivian had a powerful, powerful fire attack where she could attack every character on the screen, and that came in super handy for this fight. I think I used Vivian the most for this fight because at this point, Yoshi is great when you fight everybody else, except for when it comes to bosses. When you get to boss fights, it's like he's nerfed way down. So he's like not great. He's great for the mini bosses. He's great for your regular Joes who you run into. But when it came to like big boss time, it's like his moves didn't even do anything. Especially that Yoshi Stampede one. You're like, oh yeah, heck yeah. And then it's like dink, a little like didn't even do any damage at all. So I did use Vivian a lot in this fight. You just knew that the story was going to go into a dark place. We're going to go unleash this, and they were using the term demon again. I know that we see that a lot more now, and I think we're a lot more desensitized to it. But at the time, I was definitely like starting to like explore my faith a lot more. And when I was in 14, I was going through my whole transformation of like discovering Christ on my own and like figuring life out, and I was going through just so much stuff. The term demon really would screw with me. Like I'm uncomfortable with that. Even to this day, I don't like to like talk about demons really. I'm more like, okay, yeah, I can separate it in my mind if it's like a movie or a show, but still like Nintendo using the word demon. I mean, for what Pete's sakes, they had a NES game. What was it? Like, remember Miyamoto made like a devil like game. It had a devil in it, but they completely like didn't even release it into America because they didn't want to like scare Americans or whatever.
Yeah.
I can't think of what it's called, but it's in represented in Smash Bros. Now. But yeah, it was like that. So like they just used some more adult-ish things in this game that I don't think at the time we traditionally saw. We've seen more since then, but at the time, like I said, Nintendo still does, but was very just GPG in most of what they did. And when you start seeing that seep in Mario, it was shocking. Even we're not talking about this again, but like I know new Super Paper Mario, like go look up the backstory to some of the things they do and the things they reference. I mean, and it's darker than this game. They go to like a whole like underground of the dead,
River
Hades.
Styx. Yep.
Yeah, like it is like it's when you think about it, it's like that's pretty messed up in a Mario game in general. So I'm talking so much. You go ahead and talk.
Yeah. So, as far as like characters, and the final boss stuff, like I still leaned into Vivian quite a bit. But I felt like, fighting like one, maybe two enemies, depending on what phase of the final boss, I just ended up using, the Boo quite a bit in that fight, and dealing damage, quite a bit of damage, but then also being able to put like protection on Mario. The ability to put that protection from the ghost was just so powerful, for those big attacks that were coming in, and I would also use Koops a lot just to help with the shell and to defend against those big hits. And those are kind of my star ones. But I think my favorite, though, I think of all of the heroes or the partners, was probably Miss Mow's, a very optional character. Like you have to do like a side quest or something to unlock her. But she ignored her regular attack, just ignored defense altogether. And so like you were guaranteed to get X amount of damage on her. or from her attacks, and so I gravitate towards her a lot, especially when she could steal items and like badges and things from enemies. That was really really helpful. Items were never an issue, but it was also kind of a money source too, where I could grab items and sell them off, if I stole them from enemies. But getting those badges and powering things up was really really nice. I really like Miss Mouse, just mechanically. Even though she wasn't like the most powerful or anything, she still had some really great moves, and she also had an ability to heal Mario with a kiss, which is weird, but yeah, Miss Mouse is pretty cool. I think for later, I gave a lot of attention to Coop's. Like when I was doing the ladder stuff with the secret bosses and things like that. But I don't know. I really really enjoyed some. I used pretty much everyone except for like, for whatever reason, like the Goomba was not my thing. Like I never even used Tattle once. I don't think, unless they like had you do it in the game like once as an example. Like I never really used it. The multi bonk or whatever, it didn't work quite like Mario's, where you just like infinitely press. Like you could do like 3 hits and that was about it.
Right. Oh, that was annoying. In the first game, I believe the Goomba, can't think of his name, but Goombario maybe, he could do that. You could constantly bounce, and if you were good, you could do it. But yeah, in this game, she was nerfed.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I didn't like that too much. And so I just didn't end up using that character too much. I know that every once in a while, it was really helpful to have as just a character that could jump and hit, because otherwise I'd use Koops most of the time, which was all about like hitting on the ground. And so like if you had like the Buzzy Beetles that were flying or whatever those are, I can't think of what they're not quite Buzzy Beetles, I don't think, but yeah, you had to like knock their wings off and knock them down to the ground, then you could hit them on the ground. But even then, like you could get multiple hits in with her. But I don't know. Madame Flurry was like my biggest like damage dealer, like single damage dealer. And then Vivian would do all my other sweeping for the most part up until I got, Miss Mouse and lean more into the defensive stuff when I was going like, Danger Mario and needed some defense to pad some of the damage that I would have taken with such low HP. So.
Yeah, it was fun to strategize like who I'd use, and I like one reason why I like to use the bomb guy so much was, one, he was freaking strong with his biggest power, but two, he had that triple bomb mini bomb throw, and it was like it was strategizing. I would like plant them and plan ahead for like if I knew an enemy was going to like respawn like multiple tentacles or different swords or whatever, and you had to like individually take them out, and you just throw them out there, and it's like boom, boom, boom later on, and it really packs a punch deeper into the match. I thought that was fun trying to think ahead. Overall, I think the music's good. For the time, it was probably the best in the series, but. I don't think it's better than Origami's King's music. I think it's good, but I think that they have done soundtracks better, and I think they have even done commentary better. I think some of the latest Paper Mario games are hilarious. That game definitely had funny moments, but my final thoughts, love the game. I prefer the Mario RPG formula over the route it took for Super Paper Mario. So I hope that they can make another Paper Mario game in this vein of the Thousand Year Door. As I replayed it, I will have to say I was a little underwhelmed. I don't think it was as good as nostalgia made it up to be. I think I thought some things were tedious. Especially that the glitch plate one. Honestly, I didn't enjoy that one quite as much. I thought it was very tasking and long. I wasn't a big fan of like working my way up from the bottom of the barrel fights and every time over and over, and it was the same little, the same routine of loading and waiting for someone to show up and then take you to the ring, and I just thought that was very long and overdone. But, so overall, I don't think this game I think it's great, and I think they should model it after, but I don't think it's as legendary as what nostalgia made it. People got really hungry for it because it had just not been touched or talked about for years, and we got away from this formula. And yes, at that time, this set the bar for like, this is the greatest we've had in the RPG Mario series. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts, like I enjoyed it, and I would never tell somebody, yeah, you're going to have a bad time, this game sucks. Absolutely not. I just don't think it's as grand as we made it out to be. And if we were saying it's like, man, this is 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10, just lower it down a notch or two, honestly. Maybe it's more like, I think it's more of like a 7 to 8 range of a game. Again, that's not bad at all. It's just not as legendary as we thought, in my personal opinion.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, that's just where I sit on it. That's my thoughts. Again, great game. Go buy it. I will not tell anybody, yeah, you'll have a bad time. I think you'll like it. I do, but it's just not as grand. What do you think about that?
Like, overall, I really liked it. Having played a lot of RPGs this year, I was worried that I might have been like tired of it or not liked it, but no, it really hooked me. And experiencing that game for the first time, really, it was. I really enjoyed it. Like, it definitely lived up to the legacy of being the best Paper Mario in a lot of people's like opinions, and I definitely see that. Like, looking at Super Paper Mario and not having those partners and those special abilities from those partners, like in a turn-based RPG setting, like I could see why people are disappointed with Super Paper Mario, and I really love the story of Super Paper Mario, but I think the gameplay overall, I really liked, Thousand Year Door better. And we never really got another thing quite like it since then. Like, I haven't played Origami King all the way through. The mechanics of the battling system was a little bit weird for me.
Oh yeah, that battle system sucks. Same with.
So I haven't beat Origami King yet.
Color Splash.
But yeah, I think Thousand Year Door like lived up to the hype, and usually things underwhelm me or I just like don't get it. But so far, like, and I'm even enjoying playing Final Fantasy VI now. Like, I'm feeling like it's living up to the hype. I didn't quite feel the hype with the famous opera house scene, but I get, like, I took in the charm. But I think, like, between the two so far, I can't say too much on 6, but yeah. Thousand Year Door, I think I enjoyed as an experience overall. Just the charming characters and the ability to, break the system in a way, or like, make Mario super powerful. And like, I discovered that on my own. I didn't like look up some kind of strategy guide or something. Like, I just knew like this is how it would work and this is something I could do.
The badges were really fun. I really love that mechanic being in there.
Yeah. I think they did a really good job with that. And overall as an RPG, it stands up really well.
It does. And so I think my overall conclusion about the original game, the remake, and where the series has been standing in its own new entries that are original, I think they really do need to stick to RPG formula. Ditch the whole, let's make a new battle system. I'm sick of it. It hasn't worked the past like 3 times. The Sticker Star sucked. Color Splash, like, literally was broken. Like, there was a point in the game where you could, like, not get past something if a certain thing happened. And then the wheel was just, I think, was just way too confusing and stressful to even think through. I think you should stick to the RPG formula. Take the RPG formula, take the paper elements they did, but put it in the grand world of Origami King. Origami King is a vast world, and it's beautiful, and it's popping, and looks great, and it sounds amazing. I love the music from that game. That game, my Origami King might have the best. I think it is the. I'm not thinking. It is the best Paper Mario soundtrack to date. So just fuse them all together, and I think we will have the best Paper Mario game that's ever been created. If they could do that for Switch 2 or something like that.
Yeah. It kind of making me want to go and play, Paper Mario for Switch.
Which one? Origami King?
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of makes me want to check that out and give it a fair shake.
Uh-oh.
Because I was working through it, and then I got distracted, got sidelined with doing other things.
I have your copy.
Yeah.
I need to finish it. I was making great progress, and then Thousand Year Door came out, and I stopped again. I'm like on the I think I'm like on the final. I am in the final boss zone, so I can probably finish it up soon.
Okay, that explains why I can't find it.
Yep, you lent it to me. Okay, well, that's really all I have to say about this game. Oh, and this is the longest episode we've had in a long time. It's over an hour, and no mess ups, which is great. Any final thoughts, Ryan, to close us out here, and then you can tell people where to find us.
I think it's going to be really hard going back to Super Mario RPG and trying to beat that game after playing Thousand Year Door. It's going to be interesting to try to sit through that. I'm hoping that captures me any amount as what Thousand Year Door did, because I think the story probably outshines it in a lot of ways. So it'll be interesting to see if I can make that adjustment. But I absolutely love the game, and I recommend it highly to anybody who wants to experience Paper Mario and the I guess pinnacle of its gameplay like feeling. And if you're not too much in the RPG side of things, go try Super Paper Mario. Hopefully they'll do a remake of it and try that one out and get the charm of Paper Mario, but not necessarily get the mechanics of the RPG if you're not really a fan of the RPG type stuff. But yeah, I think overall, like worth getting 100%. Like someday we might get a or we might get a Paper Mario collection, which would be kind of cool, and they'd have to include that on the game. But and I hope that you have the chance to play it. Perhaps we'll get a GameCube, virtual console or something, and you can play, or the NSO, GameCube, or whatever. You can play some of these classics without having to necessarily purchase them, but not get the remake versions, but play them in their original forms, and you can enjoy them that way as well. But overall, I think it's pretty good. I guess that brings us to the end of the episode. So we can go ahead and read and announce where you can find us. So you can find us, listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, Pandora Podcasts. If you want to catch us on socials, you can go to @NintendoNOS on Facebook, Nintendo_NOS on TikTok, Nintendo_NOS on X Twitter. On Instagram, Nintendo NOSIN. You can shoot us an email at NintendoNostalgiaIN@gmail.com. You can also give us a call on our Nostalgia Hotline. Share your memories and show us some love at 317-969-5690. Guys, that brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you next time. Later, Preston.
Adios.